Hello and welcome to the second part of my knockoff swoop review, in which I will address some of the problems that plague this toy, specifically the missile launchers and their inability to fit on the wings. Now, before I start, I would like to state a few disclaimers. Disclaimer number one: this is a dubbed video. Basically, you're hearing it in English, but it was originally done in Hebrew, so you will see some discrepancy between what you see on the screen and what you hear from me, and I'll try to avoid this as much as I can, but it will be there. And also you won't be hearing the original background sounds, such as me handling the toy or other natural sounds that you would be usually hearing. Disclaimer number two: kids, don't try this at home. Seriously. You will be seeing stuff here that may harm you, that may harm your furniture, especially when we get to the drilling part. So seriously, if you're 17 or below, don't try this at home, or ask your parents to help you with it. That's it. I'm done with the disclaimers, so onward with the video. Okay, so we're back, and this will be phase one of the repairing process. What do we need for this stage? Basically, a problematic missile launcher, light sandpaper, from which I've already cut off a piece, and of course we'll need the problematic swoop. We're going to take him every few seconds, and after we sand a bit of plastic off, we're going to see whether or not the peg fits the hole. Simple, right? Okay, let's get on with it. Okay, so we're taking the sandpaper and we're circling the plastic peg that's supposed to enter Swoop's wing. So basically we're taking the missile launcher, and instead of just sanding it with the paper, I prefer to move both the missile launcher and my hand in a rotated motion. Why is this good? Because if you were just holding the missile launcher in a static way, just holding it, and you are just moving your hand with the sandpaper, the sanding process might come out less even than the process that I'm using now. You can either basically move the missile launcher while holding the sanding paper static, or you can move both the sanding paper and the missile launcher. Okay, so we sanded about half a minute, and now let's give it a try. And basically nada. But we're not going to quit now. We just started, so we're going to continue with the sanding process. Okay, this isn't something that I've talked about before, but this will be a good time to note that a simpler approach would be to basically enlarge the hole through drilling in Swoop's wing, and in that manner you could basically fit the peg in more easier. However, there is a reason that I haven't started with that process, and that reason would be that I'm pretty much concerned that drilling into a knockoff toy, basically a toy that is made out of a plastic which its quality is unknown to me, and I'm kind of concerned about starting to drill into a unknown quality plastic, and because that might cause the hole into which the peg is supposed to go to fracture or to splinter altogether, and it may also damage the chrome, which I don't know the chrome's quality, basically the chrome which covers the wing. And those are the reasons that I'm basically starting with a slightly roundabout approach to fixing this problem. Okay, let's try again, and nothing. Okay, so we're going to phase two, and that would be getting sanding paper, which is slightly rougher quality, because I've started with a very soft sanding paper. Okay, so I'm back with a sanding paper which is a bit rougher. so to those of you who still have the patience to listen to my voice, here's a recap of what I've basically done in that little MacGyver montage that I just did. So, step number 1. I took sanding paper. First lighter sanding paper, then somewhat rougher sanding paper, and I tried to shrink the size of the peg that's supposed to plug into Swoop's wing. That didn't quite work out. Then I took an old-fashioned handheld non-electric drill. Then I did what I didn't want to do in the first place, and that would be the drilling in KOTOYS' wing. And I basically used the drill to enlarge slowly the hole in Swoop's wing. First using a smaller drill head, and then a slightly larger one. But that didn't work either. Then I sort of used a combination of the two methods that I've previously tried. I took the hole that I've slightly enlarged, because we're talking about a hole in the Swoop's wing which is 3 3/4 centimeters wide, while the peg that's supposed to go into it is actually 5 centimeters wide. And I basically took the peg and shortened it. You can see this is the peg that I've used sandpaper on, and this is the peg that I've shortened. And now there is a certain compatibility between the hole in Swoop's wing and the peg on the missile launcher. Just for general knowledge, to shorten the peg, I used the handheld filer. You know, filer thingy that you file your nails with, but of a different nature. This filer is usually used for either wood or plastic. After I finished filing it, I basically didn't do it in one swoop. I filed off a little bit and checked the size, and filed off another bit and checked the size. And every time I stopped filing, I used the sanding paper to sand off the rough spots on the top of the where I filed, because that sort of screws up your size perception of you know, the remaining plastic bits that you file off that may stay there. They may screw up the actual width. And after all that, this is the hole that I've enlarged. You can see that the chrome has been filed off by the drill. You can see next to it the hole that I haven't drilled into and the chrome on it. Oh, let's see. And you can slide it in slowly. And we have a match that is nearly perfect. You can actually push it in a bit more, but since it's holding the missile launcher without a problem, I'm not gonna push it anymore. So now I'll get back to working on the second missile launcher, and I'll get back to you with the results. Okay, so we're back to the last part of this repair review. This would be the missile launcher that you've first seen me working on it with a sanding paper, and I've worked on it like what, for 5-10 minutes, something like that, with different kinds of sandpaper, which didn't quite work. Afterwards, I've used the handheld filer to shorten it, just as I've shortened the right hand missile launcher. However, you will see that this missile launcher, unlike the other one, will go into, because I've used so much sandpaper on it, this will go into the hole in the right side of Swoop that hasn't been drilled into. Now we'll take the two missiles and insert them into the launchers. By the way, these missile launchers are pretty good, and they can fire away, not just a few centimeters. So after about 45 minutes or to an hour of basically guesswork and a few curses that you haven't heard here, this would be a Swoop with both missile launchers on his wings. By the way, I didn't mention this, but you know, this was a trial and error, so with lots of errors, but basically I took it slowly, and I've tried to think, to map out what I was doing in my head before I started, just blindly working on stuff. I tried to consider the effect of what I was trying to do before I did it, and just before we finish, I'll check whether or not I can put the missile launcher in his fist, just out of curiosity. Nope. So what can I say? I've sacrificed the ability of Swoops, of this toy, to hold his missile launcher in his hand for the ability to hold his missile launchers on his wings, like he did in the show. So, show accurate? Yes. Toy accurate? Well, no. But I gave up an option, but still, for me, this was an option that was worthwhile to give up. If I ever become really serious about needing him to hold a missile launcher, which will be basically never, I can always insert small quantities of crazy glue, super glue, into the fists to make it smaller, to give him the ability to hold these missile launchers anyway. So we'll give him one last turnaround. This is how it looks, with his huge calculation of hands up, hands down. So this is a toy that requires a bit of money and a bit of skill to fix it up, but as far as I'm concerned, it was worth every penny. Blue Swoop, that basically finally looks as it should be. And last disclaimer is basically the reason that I'm making this video. There are two reasons actually. First would be basically to show you what you can do to fix this problem, and the second reason is actually kind of a selfish one. I would love to see basically what I'm doing here from more professional people who basically kit bash and do stuff, who basically present us fans with amazing kit bashes and whatever repair jobs and whatnot, and they basically sometimes show us pictures and stuff, or give us a description of what they've done, but that's usually not really helpful, at least not for me anyway. And I would really love to see people basically show us what they do while they're doing it. Basically do a cut video, even if it's a 2-hour process or whatever. I mean, what I'm doing here is about I think somewhere between half an hour and an hour, which I'm gonna shrink down to, I don't know, something like 20 minutes. And I would love to see other fans basically make videos of stuff they do, whether it's kit bashes, fixing toys, upgrading toys, whatever. Just show us. Don't show us in pictures. Show us what you're doing.